Hello again. Hello to you out there. This is Abby Amen from the iFace Center. It's good to be back on the set. It feels good to be back again to bring you the education that I enjoy doing. My name is Abby Amen. I'm an internet safety educator and I work for the iFace Center. So we do a weekly broadcast here on Facebook. It is titled Kids and Technology Parents Guide. So today we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. Usually we'll bring a topic and we'll talk about it. We educate parents and stakeholders and concerned individuals on that particular matter, which is usually focused on how to protect children on the internet. We've done about 15 to 17 episodes, I believe, on different topics varying from cyberbullying to online child grooming, sexual exploitation, sextortion, Facebook depression. We've talked about many different trends that happens on social media in regards to child safety. But we're taking a switch this time, and this time around we're going to be basically answering questions. So this is like a Q&A, Q's and A's of kids and technology. Our hope is that parents will bring questions and we will be able to address those questions. And before we come on, we already have questions that parents would have submitted in our inbox, and those questions we plan to address today. But if there be any other extra questions as we do this presentation, we are very happy to answer your questions. So before I go ahead, I'm just going to do a quick introduction of myself again, real quick, in case it's your first time watching this particular presentation. And then I'll talk about our organization and what we do in the organization. Again, my name is Abby Amen. I'm an internet safety educator, and I'm also a registered nurse by profession. This organization, the iFace Center, is based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, in the same state where it was founded. This organization was founded in the year 2017, and we have been able to bring families, we have been able to bring concerned individuals education on how to protect their children online. Our main goal at the iFace Center is to ensure that every child who surfs the internet is there safely. And that's what our name stands for, iFace. So the I in our name stands for increasing public awareness on the matters of internet safety for children. So we do that by educating parents, by creating information, by doing presentation like this, so that people would have access to this information and thereby be empowered to, take care of their children with the information they would have acquired. And the P in our name stands for preventing online harm to children. We believe that when we bring you the education, when we bring you the information about internet safety, you are able to prevent harm to your children. You become rather proactive than reactive. Then the H in the iFace stands for harnessing the most effective way that children can use the internet to their best advantage. And the A is for advocacy. We advocate for safer internet worldwide. It is our goal and is our passion to see that when children surf the internet, that they are doing it educatedly, that they are safe while they surf the internet. And then the S stands for to serve as a resource center / research center on the matters of internet and the way in which children access internet. We want to be able to know how technology exposure affects children's brain development down the road. I usually say it's a long-term goal, but it's getting closer and closer. And of course, the E stands for direct education of children and direct education of parents wherever they are. we are able to meet them wherever they are, whether it be at their home, or it be in school, or it be in a women's gathering or parents gathering. Direct education is what the E stands for, because we believe that knowledge is power. When people know what to do, then they do it, and they do it safe. So again, it's our passion and our goal here to make sure that we bring out this information to parents so that they can use this information to protect their children online. It's not enough to hand the phone to the child to say, okay, go ahead and use it, but we need to teach the children the appropriate way to use it. Not only do we need to teach them, we need to supervise them. We need to discuss these issues. We need to be present for them as a resource and as a safe person for them to come to when they do encounter anything that is safe, that is unsafe online. This is a live broadcast again. I thank you for the people that have joined us so far. And I see a few people on already. Please feel free to ask your questions if you have questions regarding how your children use the internet, or what kind of problem is presenting in your home when it comes to your child use of technology. And sometimes adults also have issues with how they use technology as well. We also have adult classes teaching, the basics of internet safety, even to adults. Like, seriously, this computer thing is new to everybody. Like, only this generation probably were born into it. But for those of us who have been born decades ago, this is pretty new to all of us. So as parents, we now have to raise children with technology that we weren't raised with. So that brings a lot of question as to even how we use it ourselves and how we teach our children to use it. So if you're just coming on, we're talking about children and technology and how they can use the internet safely. And please feel free to ask your question, as this is a live broadcast. Thank you very much for coming on with us today. We do appreciate your presence. And before we go ahead, I just want to beg you for a favor. Could you please share this video if you think this matter is important, if you think this matter is worth knowing, and if you think that protecting children online is not only your responsibility, it's a community responsibility. Therefore, if you're able to share this video, we are able to create more social engagement on social media, and this information will be able to go out to as many homes as possible, so we can together globally protect our children. Thank you as you do that today. We do really appreciate it. Okay, so I did mention that today is going to be different. We have a few questions from different places here in Canada, and so we're going to be addressing these questions today. And if you want a full episode on different topics that I've talked about, you can just go back and look at our previous episodes on different issues on internet safety in regards to children. I'm sure you will find some resourceful information for your family. And if not for your family, I'm sure for your neighbor's children as well. Thank you as you go back and look through our page on the IFA Center. Okay, so the first question here today, this was sent in by a parent here in Edmonton, and the question is, I noticed that my child has become more anxious and less self-controlled, especially after playing video game for a long time. So this is a concerned parent, and this is a genuine concern. And as a parent of a 15-year-old myself, I have been there. Sometimes I'm actually there. I'm concerned about the way my son, plays the game, especially if it's for a long period of time. Now, I want to answer this question by using evidence research to answer your question. So this was a research that was done by Perelman School of Medicine in Pennsylvania. It says that social media and smartphone may not be the root cause of anxiety and depression, but they may turn out to be an accelerant, the gasoline that turns a flicker of adolescent ill feeling into a blaze. Now, if the child already has a tendency to be anxious, to lack self-control, to be depressed, then they are more at risk when they are overly exposed to, say, gaming. Now, you probably would have heard of the term Facebook depression. This was a research that was done, I think it was in the UK. They actually evaluated some children. They evaluated a few children. They assessed their self-worth, and in the way that they assessed their emotions and their, their mood. And then they rated that and stored that result. And then they asked them to go on Facebook to browse maybe their friends' information, somebody who is familiar to them, their information, their pictures, their vacation, the good life that people present on social media. And then after they've come out of that, search, they asked them to rate themselves again. A majority of them actually rated their self-worth less than they rated it before, especially if the profile of the person that they were checking seem to be flowery and seem better or seem sunnier on the other side than on their side. So Facebook depression is something that is real, and a lot of people do suffer from it. So what the research here is saying is that, yes, it is possible that a child can become more anxious, more depressed, lack more self-control as a result of, excessive use of gaming or being on social media. It can increase that. The tendency is increased. It is increased. Therefore, that's why we need to, have these discussions with our children. That's why we have to set time limits on how much time they're actually spending on this gaming platform, or how much time they're spending on social media. Not only for our children, while we're watching our children, we also need to be watching ourselves. Because as parents, we tend to spend a lot of time too. And children, they watch what we do more than listen to what we actually say. Okay? I hope that question has been answered clearly. And please, if you're watching us, you have questions, please do ask. We are so happy to answer your questions. Okay, so the next question here is from Manitoba. It's from a concerned parent as well from Manitoba. It says, I find it hard to decide which show my kids should be watching because there are so many options out there. So I am wondering which website offers good advice on the type of media children should be exposed to. Now, this is a very good question because sometimes I wonder what kind of show my kids should be watching too. Because, sometimes you look at the show says, well, 14 plus. And really, I don't agree that my 15 years old should be watching this show because the content is quite explicit and I don't think it's for a 14-year-old. I don't think it's for a 15, not to talk about, a 14-year-old. So the question is, so what kind of show should our children be watching, right? Where can we find resources that would direct us to what kind of shows we can let our children watch? There is one particular organization who actually takes their time, to find out information about popular shows, and then they put out a script about it on their website, and they're called the Common Sense Media. So the Common Sense Media help parents and support parents to be able to make the right decision. They don't make the decision for you, but they give you the information that you need to be able to make the decision as per what show your children should be watching. Because really, it can be a problem deciding what show they should be watching. And if you do go by their recommendation, which is okay, but it's still important that as much as you can, co-view with your child, especially if they are younger children, say 5 or under the age of 10, if you can co-view with them and see what the show is about, to really make sure that the description or the description that has been given about a particular show is what is being presented, right? Because Common Sense Media is going to do that reading as of the time they do it. But it's not up to you as parents to apply such advice with caution. Okay, so again, it's Common Sense Media. You can Google it. I think it's commonsensemedia.org, but Google it. For sure, it's called Common Sense Media. So the third question here is, this one was asked by parents in Edmonton, actually on our set one time. And this parent was worried that the child loves roadblocks. And the question was, is Roblox good for my kids? That was the question. So Roblox is a game that was created in 2004 and was released in 2006. It's actually a gaming site where a gaming platform where the users, other gamers, can actually create their own game and invite other people to play with them. Now, when it comes to safety and parental control, Roblox features a central dashboard to limit the chat function and add parental PIN and account restriction. Roblox also has useful features called age visibility that determines settings for kids' age to make sure it is appropriate. Now, Roblox generally seems to be a safe gaming platform. But it is important to monitor your kids when they are on it, because Cybertip did release an alert one time. And now before I go talk about the alert that was released, now Cybertip is Canada's national internet or online reporting site for online child sexual exploitation. So if a child is exploited online in Canada, Cybertip is the organization that deals with it. That Cybertip is the organization that you call and they deal with this issue. And Cybertip is a subsidiary of the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, who is the big body that provides, child protection for Canada nationally. This same Cybertip did release an alert one time, and it says that they are receiving they were receiving reports about children being sexually, that they're receiving reports about persons asking children to send sexual images of themselves. And they also received reports about about users who they could tag themselves as children, but they are actually adults, asking children about sexually suggestive materials. So now that was a concern. So that is why it is important for us to monitor this site. Now this site is this game is a very popular game. It actually says it has about 120 million active players, and about half of children below the age of 16 in the US actually play this game. So that's a high number of children playing this game. While it is generally safe, it is still up to parents to make sure that the children are playing it safely, to make sure that the game that the other party has created is a safe game or is a moral game that they want their children to be involved in. It all boils down to parental supervision, discussion, and being present when our children are playing these games. So the fourth question is, what is the recommended age for signing up for social media accounts? That's a good question. That's as a parent asking, because sometimes there's misinformation about, is it 13, is it 16? Some platform would do 16, some would do 13. Now, I think it's important that we know the reason behind why there's even an age limit or age restriction for social media account. Now, the reason why most social media services use age limit of 13 mostly or over is part because of the law in the US. The COPPA law, the COPPA stands for Children Online Privacy Protection Act, states that any organization or people operating online services, including social media services, are not allowed to collect personal information of anyone under the age of 13 without parental permission. So, to avoid the necessity of obtaining parental permission, then a lot of social media platforms would say the minimum age is 13. So therefore, children can sign up at the age of 13 and be part of it. Now, it is not because research has been done and they have decided or they have come to a conclusion that 13 was a safe age to have a social media account. Not at all. It was just in response to data protection legislation, basically. So it is left for every individual or every home, every parent to decide which age is right for their children to own a social media account. These are recommendations, but however, it is up to the parents to decide, up to the child and the parents collaboratively to decide. Why some children are ready to have a social media account at the age of 13 because they know what to watch for, they are proactive, they know how to respond to strangers, they know what it means to receive sexually suggested message, and they know how to react to sexually suggested message. Some children don't know. Some children at that age of 13 don't know. So it is up to you to have this discussion with your children and decide for each child at what age you're permitted to have a social media account and what kind of social media account that they should have. That is dependent for every family. And for a social media platform like WhatsApp, the minimum age for signing up for WhatsApp is 16. It used to be 13. Again, in reaction to data protection legislation, it was bumped up to 16. Now, again, it is not a research age, it is not a safe age, but it is an age at which point the social media sites are protected. It's an age at which they don't have to go through the process of making the signees obtain permission from their parents. That is why they have put it at that age. And it has become a popularly accepted age. A lot of parents go, well, when you're 13, you can sign up. But you have to figure out for yourself, for your children, for your family, are they ready at the age of 13? Now, 13 is actually a good age in a way to sign up because it's a recommended age. The child is not lying, is not breaking the rule. But we are seeing a trend these days where children, even at the age of 8, have a social media account. Between 8 to 9 to 10 to 11, 12, they have a social media account. A lot of them with parental permission, a lot of them without parental permission. And of course, that is a concern. You have to be sure that your child is ready and well able to be able to handle the kind of information that they would come across for you to sign them. While you can make the account private, they can still be directly messaged. And another thing is, if you're allowing your child to break the rule, then what's the lesson there? What's the moral lesson, right? Again, we know parenting is already hard as it is. We are not here to, to condemn parents or to tell you what you're not doing right. But, it's just to bring you the information. And maybe that was, spark up a light bulb and you're able to make a better informed decision. That's our hope in this presentation. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the 5th question. This question is from Toronto. It was a mother asking about her teenage children. She said, I'm a mother of 3 teenage kids. We discuss online safety rules regularly in our home. Sometimes I think I am paranoid, saying the same thing, saying the same online rules over and over again. Now, my question is, how often do I need to discuss internet and tech-related issues with my children? Well, that's a very good question. And yes, it can seem like you're becoming paranoid, repeating the same internet rules. But guess what? There is nothing like too much safety. And I can tell you, these types of conversation needs to be regular, consistent, and as many times as possible. I think about it, now you think about it this way. If a child is spending 7 to 9 hours on their gadget as per research, that's more than a third of their day is spent on the gadget. Now, that's minus schoolwork. And then you tell me it's too much talk when you're telling your child about safety? Not at all. It's not too much talk, because it is very important. A constant reminder of your family values and tradition is definitely key. Having those discussions and reminding them of what your family values are. And if you have a family media plan, which is a recommendation for every family in this day and age, reminding them of the family plan, the family media plan, what instructions are on it as per how long they should be on the media, or how safely they should be on, what kind of safety techniques they should apply on their media, what kind of limits they should adhere to. Reminding them of that is definitely not too much information at all. And I'll say, as a parent, you're doing well. You are not paranoid at all. You are actually doing a fantastic job reminding your children over and over again, because that's your parental duty. The first parental duty is to nourish your children and then to keep them safe. And that is what you're doing. And it's very important. And also, what you're doing in that particular case is, when you're reminding your children about safety and monitoring their game time and what they're playing and how they're doing or who they're connecting to, you're actually being proactive. You're not waiting for a problem to come up and then you react. And that is what a good digital parent does. We're proactive to help our children to avoid the problem than to wait and react to the situation. Because I tell you, one encounter, one negative, one unethical, one obscene encounter by a child on the internet can change a perspective for a long time, right? So reminding your children constantly and singing that safety message and reminding them of your family values and tradition is very important, because there is a lot of pressure out there. The kids are being pressured to present themselves as what they are not, just so they can have likes and comments. Children are uploading videos to attract likes and comments, videos that ordinarily they would not have uploaded, but because they want like and comment, they want people to follow them, then they do these things, right? So reminding them constantly is definitely key, and I applaud you, these Toronto parents, for doing that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question. If you're just coming on set, please ask your questions if you do have any. I'm just gonna scroll down here to see if there be any questions. No. Okay. So this is the sixth question here. This was asked by an Edmonton parent. It says here, if I put all of the safety apps and gadgets on my kids' computer and phones and all of their internet accesses, do I have to worry about what they see or what they will come across online? Now the answer is, you do not have to worry about what your children will see, but you do have to watch. You do have to monitor them too. And now remember that no safety app, no tech feature to protect the computer or the internet can replace frequent, regular discussion. Frequent, regular, consistent discussion is very important. Therefore, yes, put those apps, put those safety features, and on top of that, continue to have those discussions and continue to monitor and supervise them wherever possible. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the number 7 question. This number 7 question and 8 is kind of similar, so I'm going to, approach the questions the same way. The 7th question here was asked from a parent here in Edmonton, and they're actually from 2 parents in Edmonton asking number 7, 8 question. It says here, my kids play game hours long at a time, and I'm worried that they are staying on for too long. And to get them off the game is like pulling a tooth. Then the eighth question here says, I wonder why my kids are so hooked to their phones. I feel separated from my kids since I got them their phones. Now, this is a very genuine worry and concern by most parents. You know, to separate your children from the game, to call them off from the game to do their chores is like you're pulling a tooth. Like that's a perfect description by these parents, right? Or that you give your son a phone and then you start to miss his presence because he rather spend time on his phone than actually spend time with you. Again, now that's a concern. So, and as parents, we start to wonder, you know, what's on this phone anyway, that you're just looking at it and you're not coming off, right? And children are not the only ones that are looking at their phone. Parents too are looking at their phone for hours on end. According to research, some youths actually did complain that their parents spend too much time on their phones too. And if we look on the Facebook safety page, Mark Zuckerberg actually said, well, you have to role model as parents. If you don't want your child spending too much time on Facebook, well, you don't spend too much time on Facebook. That was his recommendation. Therefore, as parents, we need to be mindful of how we use our gadgets too. Okay. So now, why are children so hooked onto the phone? Why is it that when they play the game, they don't want to come off, or when they are on the phone, they don't want to come off? There is a term called persuasive technology. Now, persuasive technology is an attitude, is a tech designed to change attitude and behavior of users through persuasion and social influence, not coercion, not by force. So it's a tech designed to change people's behaviors and attitude through social influence and persuasion and not coercion. So they're not using force. But it's a way that your mind is being worked on such that you stay doing what you're doing. You stay glued onto your phone. And as parents, we probably know, this has probably happened to you. You go onto your Facebook, say just to go check your messenger. And then the next thing, you are there scrolling down the page of your Facebook and you're just looking at pictures, and before you know it, it's 1 hour later, right? The same thing happens to children. So the technology company used the same concept in designing digital technology and in creating social media platform. That is why we spend time not even knowing. It is persuasive technology that keeps us stuck in, that keeps us glued onto our screen, right? Think about it this way. As adults, you are matured. If you are up to the age of 25, that means your prefrontal cortex is already developed. You can make well-informed and coordinated decisions. But children, people less than the age of 25, don't quite have a full development of their prefrontal cortex. And ever wondered why they have less self-control? Yes, brain development is part of it. And two is because of this persuasive technology issue as well. So our children stay stuck in. Now, having known that, I honestly don't think that social media was created in any way to destroy our time or our purpose, right? Because it was mentioned on our Facebook safety page that we need to monitor how much time we spend on it. But the point is creating a balance between real life and online life, right? Social media platform, it's a business. They are out to make business. And if you're a business person, you know that you need to keep your customers' attention. You know that you need to keep your customers retained. And that's simply what they're doing. So it is left for users to maintain balance. It's left for users to be informed and to be aware that this is what it is, and we need to apply precaution and caution in this sense. So when our children stay glued onto their phones and they stay glued onto their game, let us not blame them, because it is It was intentionally designed to actually keep them stuck on, to keep them glued on. That's the purpose. But again, reminding them and giving them that friendly reminder. Say your child is on the game and playing for a long time, and you know that, and he's aware that the game time is about an hour or an hour and a half, or take a break in between 2 hours of gaming. You need to give your child a reminder. You know what, you've been playing for about an hour, so you have 30 more minutes to go. Just keep that in mind, right? A person who is informed, or a child who knows that they have 30 minutes to go, is kind of preparing themselves to the end of that time, compared to a child who suddenly is pulled out of a middle of extremely exciting game. Sorry, excuse me 1 second. You awake, Abigail? Okay. Mommy's doing this presentation. When I finish, I'll come and get you, okay? Go to Daddy now. Okay? Thank you. You can go to Daddy. Let me finish first, okay? Okay. Well, thank you for waiting on there. That's my little girl. She just got up from her nap. Okay. So giving our children that friendly reminder is very, very important, and helping them to know that the time is almost up and that they should get ready to come off the game. Or if they're using the phone all day, reminding them that there are other activities that they could be doing. You can go bike riding, you can go skateboarding, whatever outdoor activity that they enjoy doing. Just reminding them that they could do that. And if they are not following, now setting up strict restrictions and strict rules could be used at that point in time, because you want to also make sure that your children are developing properly, that they are getting enough sunshine, that they are getting enough outdoor interaction, especially in the summer season. So in whatever you do, as long as a parent, your children know that you're doing it in love, and they would be ready, they should be okay to follow those instructions. So I have another question here. This is our 9th question. This was asked by parents in Edmonton. This is a parent of a young child. The question here says, why does it matter how much screen time my 5-year-old gets? Because it is the time she's watching TV or using her iPad that I get to do things that are meaningful for myself or for the older siblings. Now, I cannot agree less that, when your 5-year-old is watching TV or using an iPad, is a very crucial time for you to be able to catch up on other things, because at that age they need mom's attention and they are all over mom all the time, right? But also be aware that it is important that whatever interactions that your child makes at that age, adds up to their full rounded development. So yes, it's okay for them to watch TV as per recommendation. They should be watching about an hour of TV or using an hour of screen time a day below the age of 5, from 5 and below up until 18 months. An hour a day is the recommendation. And if you're letting your child overly watch TV or have screen time more than is recommended, just know that there is also a risk to that when it comes to their brain development. And now I'm going to refer to a research that was published on JAMA Pediatrics. This study was carried out by Dr. John Horton, who is a pediatrician and a clinical researcher, and this research was also presented on CNN. Sorry, give me one moment here. Abigail, I need you now to go to Daddy. Okay, I'll be done in 5 minutes, okay? Go get your chocolate treat. Go get that. Okay? I'll be right with you. Good girl. 1 second. Okay. So this was done by this was actually led, by John Horton. Give me 1 second, please. Hey, come and take Abigail, please. Thank you. Go, you go play, and I'll be down soon. Okay, Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. My 4-year-old just got up from a nap. Of course, she wants her mommy. Mommy will be done soon, honey.
Don't drag me. Don't drag me. Don't drag me. I'm not.
Abigail, that's okay. I'll be down soon. Thank you. Okay. So, it was saying here that this research was done, and basically it was looking at the brain development of children below the age of 5, children who were exposed to just enough screen time, which is a recommended 1 hour. They were looking at their brain matters, and they realized that children who were within the recommended time for screen use, they actually had good brain formation. Their white matters were enhanced and their connectivity were good. But for children who were exposed to longer periods of screen, who spends a lot of time longer than the hour that's recommended for children for 5 and below, they actually did not have as much white matter as the children who were not exposed to TV or exposed to excess screen time. That is because at that age, below the age of 5, is the crucial time where a lot of these white matters form in the brain. So now the white matter is that part of the brain that carries signal through the brain and the spinal cord. The white matter is key to development, language, cognition, and also literacy skill. So definitely, of course, this white matter is very important when it comes to child development. So it is important to stay within that recommended time for proper brain development for the children. So according to this research, the first 5 years is when the brain is very plastic and is easily able to soak up information and experience that forms strong connection that lasts for life. The first years needs to be focused on human interaction that will create pathway for more neuron connections. So I will add that a lot of children's apps that children actually play with, or even some TV shows, they were not actually developed by they call them developmental specialists. These apps were not developed by specialists. They were just created, right? So because they're not developed by specialists, they're not developed by experts, they are not created to support proper brain development of the young children. So that's why it's very important as parents that we are actually very selective and very picky as to what shows our children are watching, especially around the age of 5 and below. Specialist pediatricians still recommend Sesame Street. Yes, it's old, but it is highly recommended. That is the program that is still recommended today. It's not to say that other programs, there are no any other program, but that program is definitely well supported by developmental specialists. So if you're looking for programs that your 5-year-olds and below should be watching, again, I refer you back to that Common Sense Media. You can check them out and see what shows that they are recommending for children. And you can look into research on developmental specialists and what kind of shows are actually supported by them. So, and those will be the kind of shows that we recommend that you let your younger ones watch, especially below the age of 5. Now, I'm just going to read out a quote here by Dr. Jenny Radetsky. Dr. Jenny Radetsky is she's one of the leaders of screen time, children's screen time in the U.S. She is a pediatrician. It says here that screen time is not damaging the neurons, but it's taking up the time that the brain could use to form more connections, or that screen time is not challenging enough for the brain to create more connections. So it's two things here. Now, it's not that screen time is damaging the neurons, but that maybe screen time is not challenging enough for the neurons to connect, or that screen time is taking excessive time such that the neurons is not able to connect appropriately. It's taking too much time. When the child is focused on things that are not supporting their development, of course, their neurons are not connecting. Therefore, it's almost like a time wasting issue or time wasting factor in that sense. So, however you look at it, it is clear that excess screen time, watching shows that are not supported or that are not developed by developmental specialists for children, can actually do harm more than good to your child. So for that parent who is asking about, why should I be worried about excessive screen time for my child? Because when she's watching the screen, that is when I am able to do other things myself. Yes, I agree with you. And again, I usually say parenting is hard as it is. However, it's a responsibility to make sure that we are raising children who are developing, whose brains are developing appropriately. Very, very important, because the early years are the foundational years for proper brain development. That is what it kind of shows. The watch is very important. Okay, I see a few more people are coming on towards the end of this presentation. I'm still glad you're here. I'm glad this is a live program. Therefore, you can go back and replay this broadcast today and get the information that have been discussed. So today, basically, we have talked about questions. We've tried to answer questions from parents from different parts of Canada, and we've been able to bring the answers to them using research and evidence to back up our answers as much as we can. Again, now going forward for the next little while on tech and children, it's going to be more questions and answers like this. And so if you have questions, please inbox us your questions over the week, and we will be able to get to it when we come on this presentation. There's going to be a few changes coming on this particular broadcast, and I will keep you in the loop, and as an organization we will make sure that you're well informed. Just before we round up here, I'm going to encourage you all to share this video. If this information was important to you, if you benefited from it in any way, or after you have viewed this video, for those that are just coming in, after you have viewed it, if you find anything beneficial at all, if there was anything to protect children at all, I would encourage you to share so that other parents can be able to watch this video and be able to protect their children. Because it's not enough to protect only your children, because if your children go to interact with other children, then there's still that same exposure. So what we're trying to do here at the iFace Center is to create a herd immunity, an immunity that is created that actually spreads out to protect other people and to protect other children and other families. So please share this video anytime you come across it. That way we can create more social engagement on Facebook. Thank you very much for being with us today. We're hoping to come on to you again next week on Kids and Technology, Q&As. And if you have any questions, please inbox us and we will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much for coming on. And just before you go, I just want to say we are very happy. We are very excited. Our new book is almost ready to be sold. And this book is titled, He Sounds Like a Good Boy. This book has to do with the way kids play online game and safety. Please, when this book comes out, as much as you can, support us. Purchase one for your family and purchase for a friend. We think it's going to make a very good Christmas present for families so that kids can be safe. Especially now that children are home and they're surfing the internet all the time and being on game platforms all the time. Therefore, buying this book and sharing to your network is highly recommended. Again, we'll let you know when the book is fully out, but in a couple of weeks here, we are expecting it to start to be on the shelf. Thank you so much for your support. For those that watch us and share our program, we do really appreciate you. And to protect the children, of course, is everybody's business. And when we protect the children, we indeed secure all of our future. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. For now, from this end, bye and have a good week.